Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive with myself, Erin Chandler. If you've not done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that this information gets out to as many people as possible. We are talking about part 2 of the quantum healing codes. We got sidetracked, or I got sidetracked from that rather. The reason why this topic is important is we're not just going to talk about the quantum healing codes from Mark Gamma and Isabel Hen, but we're also going to touch base on the most effective way to use them and what light code activations actually do and how to make them useful or effective to do a quantum jump or jump timelines, because that's the whole purpose of it. So when we're talking about quantum healing codes, let's say I have a quantum healing code of to make steps forward where there is, no, I'm being corrected. The right one that needs to be used for this video or episode is the quantum healing code to know unequivocally one's heart's desires, free of conflicting thoughts and energy. The quantum healing code for this is 21653. It's important for us to understand. Sometimes we think about, oh, I'm just saying a code and that's supposed to change my life, or that's supposed to activate me and everything will be different. Now, here's what's interesting about understanding timelines and light code activations and healing codes and all of those different aspects. When we talk about jumping timelines, it's very easy to jump a timeline, whether it's through setting an intention or taking a different action. Most of us have an expectation that I jump a timeline or I quantum jump and I'm suddenly abundant all the time. And I'm suddenly on this timeline and everything's beautiful and wonderful. It never goes back. But that's not really how it works. And that's not really how we experience it. Most of us are going back and forth between timelines. Sure, you can jump 3 timelines, but guess what? If you don't have the mindset, the physical activations, the lifestyle to support that new timeline, or the drive, or the intentions, or the actions to support that new timeline, you will end up finding yourself back on these other timelines that perhaps you're trying to change or don't want to be on. This is important to understand, particularly using the quantum healing codes as a way to jump timelines, to heal things in your DNA. So when I say quantum healing codes activation to know one's own heart's desires, free of conflicting thoughts and energy, 21, 6, 5, 3. What am I doing? A third time. Quantum healing code activation to know one's true heart's desires, free of conflicting thoughts and energy. 21, 6, 5, 3. A, I'm doing it in repetition. B, I am speaking it aloud. What am I activating? What does the code do? I am effectively spell casting, writing it in the energy that I shall know my heart's desires and be free of conflicting thoughts and energy. I'm also using the code form, the numerical values. If you think about it, everything is a code, everything is a program. Where we get stuck is some people think, oh, I'm going to do a quantum healing code activation, or I'm going to get a light code activation or a light language activation. It's going to change my whole life. Those activations are meant to give you a new seed of a program, to activate the program where you will know your own heart's desires and exclude or remove all conflicting thoughts and energy. But I must have repetition. I must have steps in place that align and maintain that quantum healing code. So you may do a quantum healing code and say, oh, I felt different for a minute, or maybe you didn't feel anything at all and wonder why it didn't work. You can jump a timeline. It's an activation, but these are program activations. These are light code activations. Your actual physical avatar, your mindset, your thought forms must also change to be in alignment with that new coding. If the coding that I am operating on, the thought forms, the physicality of I'm not worthy and I'm not worth loving and I can't find love and I'm with everybody else's energy and I can't figure out what I do. Those are programs and codes. They are tied to emotional imbalances. They are tied to different thought forms. They are tied to a certain level or a certain timeline that you are existing on, operating on a certain program and code. When we talk about quantum healing codes, repetition is your best friend. Speaking it aloud is very powerful. It is the stamp and the seal on the intention. Using the numerical values and codes removes you from the matrix. You are rewriting a new program and code. Oftentimes we think, why didn't that work? Or sure, that didn't work. Or why am I not having the life that I want to? Have I jumped a timeline or have I not? We're often fluctuating between timelines, and this isn't for everybody. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. If you find yourself fluctuating between timelines, wow, I just had this month where I've just been so abundant and everything's free flowing. And now suddenly I'm over here and I've got all this chaos, and that's not what I was manifesting. That's somebody else's energy. This is often because we're moving through timelines. Time is a linear construct of man for the 3D earth plane. Time does not exist. It is a measurement. So when we're talking about jumping timelines, I want you to connect the dots between time does not exist, it's a linear construct of man, and hey, we're jumping timelines. It's almost like taking a step back and observing it. There is a timeline on the linear constructs of the 3D earth plane and consciousness where I am poor, don't have my shit together, I am in lack and limitation, perhaps I have a defeatist attitude. There is 200 other timelines that you can be on based on your decisions and your choices. When we do an activation to jump to a different timeline, it's a different linear aspect of time. So instead of continuing on this trajectory that you're on based on the codes and the repetition and the conditioning that you're existing on, we're inserting with quantum healing codes or choosing an activation for a new timeline, which means we're activating a new program and a code. So when I say do a quantum healing code to know one's own heart's desires, free of conflicting thoughts and energies, yes, it just activated that code in your DNA, in your thought forms, in your energetic fields. If you chose that, if you received that, because it's up to you whether you receive a code or not. If you have received a code and it has been activated, you then have to have the mind, the thought forms, the mindset, the state of being, the choices that align with knowing your own heart desires, free of conflicting thoughts and energy. Now, here's why we use this quantum healing code, says my daughter, Ava, 21, 21, 653. The reason that we use this specific quantum healing code to know one's own heart's desires is because we live on the earth plane. Many of you have been manifesting and not knowing your heart's desires and being conflicted with different thoughts and energy, both as a flow through of an influx from awakening to what is existing in the intangible, unseen realms. But in addition, you have all been conditioned. Some have been bullied into making decisions for others rather than following their own heart's desires. When we do a quantum healing code activation, we are activating the code, the program, to allow you to step into the timeline where you honor your sacred knowing, where you honor your own heart's desires. In order to honor your heart's desires, you must be free of conflicting thoughts, forms, and energies, because those will stop you or have you sacrifice your own heart's desires in order to accommodate someone else's. But here's the thing. You're not here to accommodate other people's heart's desires and sacrifice your own. That's an abandonment of self. We have been conditioned to do that. There is no shame. When you know better, you do better. Maya Angelou. Anyways, going back to this, says Ava, the quantum healing code activation to know your heart's desires and being free of conflicting thoughts and energies. It is an activation of the program within your DNA, your energetic. And those of you who have done the work and aligned to maintain that timeline, that activation and that program, who can follow the momentum and the repetition and the consistency and actively be accountable for all conscious choices that you make, you will find that you will be able to reside on that higher timeline, and the effectiveness of it is absolute. It is amazing. Whereas there is other subsets of souls who will do a quantum healing code activation or have a light code activation, but still have in the social memory complex the other timeline, which is more dominant than the new programming. This is where the reprogramming comes in, the rewriting. This requires steps in the physical and thought form and mindset of individuals in order to maintain that higher timeline. Otherwise, they experience it for a moment and then move back into the lower timelines. We say lower as a construct of man's time. It is simply a recognition of frequency. Frequency is based in thought forms. Frequency is based in the energetic fields around us and within us, both and. Timelines are just an external confirmation of the frequency that you're on. Repetition is important. We often think, oh, somebody's going to heal me and do this and my whole life will change. And while that is true, the most effective changes happen when somebody is willing to receive that activation, is willing to be on a new timeline, and is willing to adopt or I want to say transform into that new timeline, that new mindset, what is required to maintain the timeline of knowing my own heart's desires, free of conflicting thoughts and energy. So what mindset is required for me to maintain, to take that quantum healing code activation and say, I've been activated in a new program to know my own heart's desires, free of conflicting thoughts and energy. What's going to happen? I'm suddenly going to become aware. I've been activated. I'm going to be aware of where I have conflicting thoughts and energy, whether it is my own or external influences outside of me. And why is this going to happen? Because my heart's desire has all this inner shadow popped on top of it. You should do this. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be like this. You should look at it like this because I look at it like this. It's covered over with all these own things. That quantum healing code activation activates the program that allows you to take the steps to identify what you need to do and who you want to be. Because your heart desires something, usually for a reason. To know your own heart's desires and like know it unequivocally. I have a dream. I'm hearing this is important for somebody to understand because you've had the same dream since you were a child. You've had the same dream over and over again, and maybe it's grown bigger and more expansive and has different branches that are now sprouting from it. But that dream has always been there. If a dream keeps coming back to you over and over and over again, whether it's once a decade or once every single month, if it keeps coming back to you, it's because it's asking to be made come into fruition through you. It's asking to be created on the physical 3D form through you. It's part of your knowing. Quantum healing code activation to know your own heart's desires. This is very important. Knowing is one of the most powerful things. You can't teach a knowing. I've shared this in one of the channels. You cannot teach a knowing. You can teach a set of belief systems. You can teach a set of values. But if I have a belief that is actually based on a knowing, an unequivocal knowing deep within my core as my ultimate truth, nothing shakes it. So this is a quantum healing code activation 21-21-653 to know one's own heart's desires, not the desires of others, not the push and pull, and being free of conflicting thoughts and energy. This means I need to start making choices. Is that what my heart wants when somebody steps up and says, hey, you want to do this? Is that what my heart really wants? I'm activating this new program within me that we want to override all the old programs. We need spirit to help us do that. Call in your divine team to help you do that. Those of you who have already done the work or already done the steps of whatever it's required for that new timeline, it will be very easy. It'll just flow and everything will change. But those of you who maybe haven't done the steps or have not become aware or illuminated some of the things in the subconscious or some of the dynamics you are playing out on the earth plane that stop you, so this is the conflicting thoughts and energy, that stop you from manifesting and knowing your own heart's desires, those things are going to get amplified. You'll be moved back to the timeline that has the dominant energy of the conflicting thoughts and energy to illuminate it for you so that you can remove them and follow your own heart's desires because you now know it because you've removed the other energies. So when we're talking about quantum healing code activations and light code activations and healing and all of these different things, we have this idea that it's one and it's done and we're forever changed. And that is true. You are forever changed. It is a one and done. but you have to be able to maintain it. I can't maintain this quantum timeline or jumping this timeline and moving to this upper echelon, is what I'm hearing, of timelines, if I'm still going to do the mindset, the thoughts, and the actions of the lower dense dominant one, or if I have people attached to me or people in my life who continually suck me down to that energy. Is it an activation and changes you, creates a new program within your DNA code? Absolutely. It's a whole new thought form for some of us. You then have to have the steps and be willing to do the things to maintain that new program. Otherwise, it just gets rerouted back to the original one. This is why consistency is so important. This is why oftentimes people will do things, say, oh, well, nothing happens, so that can't be real, and go the other way. It requires interaction on your part as well. It requires you to utilize your energy in a way that creates compound interest. That's one of the things I teach, right? Spirit is compound interest. Your thought forms are compound interest. If I'm always saying, oh, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, well, guess what? You just compound interested that. It's not going to work because you don't want it to work, because that's a program you're running that it doesn't work. You create your own world. Whereas if I'm utilizing a quantum healing code activation and I am willing to repeat it every day, the more you repeat these things, because you're stamping and sealing it in your physical world, you're creating the reality of it, that I know my own heart's desires and I am free of conflicting thoughts and energy. I am free of conflicting thoughts and energy. 21, 21, 6, 5, 3. Do you understand the concept of quantum healing codes? Some of you are very good and have elevated enough in your frequency to be able to say a code and write it in your energy and feel it immediately, the change in the frequency, or feel the code peppering into your energy. I write it into people's energy. I write it into their spinal cord. I write it in their energy centers around them. I filter it in. That's how I energetically and spiritually work with quantum healing codes with the different clients and customers and people that I work with on a daily basis. However, for those of you who are doing this on your own, you can do this on your own. You truly can. Everyone will have a slightly different way of doing it. It's the most powerful for them. So it's about playing around and seeing, what's my special, unique way that works for me? I'm going to pluck a little bit of Aaron's here because that worked really well. But this part over here from this teacher, that worked really well for me too. And I'm going to marry those two, and it's going to become my own unique way of doing things. There's nothing wrong with that. You are all powerful. You all have the ability to jump timelines, to reprogram, to say no to whatever you want, to know your own heart desire, and manifest the life of your dreams. We are all this powerful. The problem is we do not know we're that powerful. We just take a few steps and we're like, oh, well, it didn't work. Oh, well, it didn't work. Oh, it always works out like this. Great expectations, great disappointments for somebody on here. This is the story of your life. That's what I'm hearing, the story of your life. You have to do the repetition. You have to be willing to, I want to say put in the work, but for some of you, you're so exhausted, you're like, I can't put anything else into anything because I'm done. You need to surrender and rest, whoever that message is for that's coming through right now. Surrender and rest. Allow the divine to co-create with you. Allow yourself to receive the healing energy of the divine to fill you back up so that you have the strength and the momentum to take the steps that you need to take. If you don't, you're only going to keep bottoming out. I'm seeing the rock bottom card. You will hit rock bottom, end of story, until you move with creation, until you move with the momentum, until you move with the divine, and until you are accountable for everything in your energy. That's what I'm hearing as a message for somebody on here while we're talking about quantum healing codes. So, do quantum healing codes work? Absolutely. I have had some crazy experiences, my friend, working with people in healing things in the body, healing broken bones, fractured bones, healing organs. It has been wild and insane to witness, experience, and expand with these quantum healing codes. There is a link to this in the bottom. I did not create these quantum healing codes. These were created for all of us to use free of charge. There is a link in the video description box below if you wish to go to their website to download the quantum healing codes. Please do that. The purpose of giving these episodes and explaining this to all of you is so that you can maximize the amount of tools you actually have at your fingertips to make these things a reality, make that energetic reprogram or new program or code to not only activate it, but to flow with the timeline of it, to jump timelines, because most of us are going back and forth between these timelines. We have to have a balance, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, in alignment with the timeline that we are operating on or wish to operate on. And sometimes I'm seeing somebody, it's like you're stumbling left, right, and center. It's okay, my friends. We all do. Anytime we're doing something new, you can expect to stumble. You can expect to see miracles. You can expect to have successes. You can expect to have failures. That's part of the journey. We're all going to stumble. We all stumble. I've stumbled so many times I can't even, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. Sometimes I'm like, wow, Erin, that was epic, an epic fall down. That's okay. I'm a human being. I'm also a spiritual being having a human experience. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to say, oh, I got that wrong. I don't know why, but this is very important for somebody on here. I feel like I'm hearing from your guides, actually your higher self. I am very difficult on myself. I have compassion for others. However, in my compassion for others, I have failed to be compassionate for myself. That's also in another channel that has recently come up. And it's often asking you to have compassion for yourself. That's why you're being presented with so many people that require compassion. So you will inevitably turn to yourself and say, wow, I get to have compassion for myself now. It's the same for abandonment wounds. It's the same for lack of love or jealousy or envy or any of those things. If you have been abandoned and you are afraid of being abandoned, it's because you're abandoning yourself. You're being asked not to abandon yourself. It's not about the other person. It is a reflection. Same with jealousy. When you are jealous of another person, thinking that they're getting more than you, or they're better than you, or talking smack, I'm hearing about somebody because of your own lack and limitation or your own dislike for yourself, you're being shown that you need to love yourself there. You're having jealousy because you feel a lack of whatever that person displays within yourself. They're simply reflecting back to you or highlighting, I'm hearing, the frequency of where you need to love yourself, honor yourself, do your own thing. That's what that's doing. So that's the concept of reflections and mirrors. I'm not sure why we're talking about that on quantum healing codes, but I will tell you, if you're repeating a quantum healing code to know your own heart's desires and you have jealousy of other people, you actually get to, that actually removes the jealousy complex. That's what I'm hearing, a social memory complex of jealousy. You're actually removing the jealousy. So it's no longer your focus on the lack and limitation of what you're not, which you really are. You just haven't realized it. You're then bringing your focus to my total focus, my words, my energy is focused on knowing my own heart's desires, not what I lack of that person or this person or that person over there, my own heart's desires, so I can be free of conflicting thoughts and energies. Having jealousy of somebody else is a conflicting thought and energy. I don't know why we're going on about jealousy so much right now, but we are. It's a conflicting thought and energy based in lack and limitation, hate and not having. It is the absence of the acceptance of oneself. That's what that is, projected out to somebody else. To be free of those conflicting thoughts and energy of that somebody else has something that I don't. You want to be free of that. The universe, the divine, will give you anything you want. That includes the manifestation of I'm not enough, the lack, and the limitation, and we're not worthy, and all these other things. It includes that, my friends. Never put others on a pedestal. You need to start putting yourself on a pedestal. For some of you who are always like this, I'm less than, you need to start recognizing you're more than. And sometimes for people who are on the pedestal of more than, sometimes they have to come down and recognize that actually, yeah, I'm more than, but so is everybody else on the planet, regardless of what they're doing or what they look like they're doing, whether they're conscious or unconscious, whether they're displaying old programs of density and darkness or high programs of light, love, and evolution. We're kind of all in the same place, technically. On the macro, we're all beings of light. We come here for this purpose. As I said in a previous channel, quantum healing codes helps you to awaken and activate those things so that you can move through another timeline, so that you can evolve and expand on a spiritual, energetic, mind, thought, all of those different facets and forms, because they all work together. If my words are speaking this, but my energy over here is saying the opposite thing, I'm never going to be able to activate or roll on a new timeline. And vice versa. If my energy is here, let's say my heart is wanting this, but my mind is like, I do not want that. I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. Again, you're not in coherence or alignment, how are you ever going to manifest or maintain that higher timeline or the highest timeline that you want? Quantum healing codes activation simply activates a program that already exists within you that you are capable of attaining, and all the higher timelines. It is an activation of a program within your DNA, within your thought forms. Some may call it a seed planting. Planting seeds of light is what I am hearing, rather than implanting rotten seeds of darkness or control or disempowerment. We're pulling out all of those implants. We're now rewriting with new programs. These are programs of I am enough, my I am presence, my I am power, I am worthy, I am a creator of my own world. I get to stand up and say yes, and I get to stand up and say no. I no longer have to be silenced. I now honor myself. Therefore, those around me will honor me as well. When we talk about quantum healing codes, I really would love for all of you to go to the link of, I believe it's under Isabel Hen's website. I could be wrong, but the link will be in the video description box below. The whole purpose of this, my friends, if you go and see it, there's everything from healing cancer, healing psychological disorders, healing energy, healing thought forms, past lives. There's all these different access things in there. These are quantum healing code activations. That doesn't mean you say it, oh, I healed my cancer, quantum healing code activation, I healed cancer, and it's done. Think about how much dense energy and how many thought forms and experiences were required to impress a cancer, contagion cancer, into your physical atoms and DNA. Think about that. Now think about, if I have that much timeline and that much projection to create this illness, am I just going to say it once and it be done? No, you're rewriting, you're reprogramming. You need the same consistency and compound interest of the positivity, of the knowing that it's healed, as you did to create the thing that isn't healed, the illness. That's how we reprogram. It's not just, oh, new program, it's done. Goodness, if it was, you guys, I wish I could do that. And then I could just tap my magic wand. I always say that in my communities. If I could have a magic wand and my superpower was I could tap my magic wand and everything changed, their thought forms and their mindset and all their energy, that would be the most epic gift ever. I always joke about that. I want that to be my special superpower. Because wouldn't that be awesome? I'd be going around taking everybody, whether they liked it or not. Perhaps that's why I don't have that superpower, which is, side note, actually really funny. So quantum healing codes. Please go to the link in the video description box below. Go to their website, download them, utilize them. It is not a one and done, my friends. If it were that easy, none of us would be in social conditioning at all. All of us would have already evolved beyond all of this. So it's rewriting the programming. It's creating the momentum of the positivity to counteract the negativity, and then some, and then some, and then some, plus, plus, plus. Then we create so much compound interest of the positive that this no longer exists because it got smaller and smaller and smaller, because your DNA makeup, your thought forms, your mind, and your energy is flooded and filled with this positive aspect or this new timeline in thought, mind, body, spirit, and heart. That's how you affect the change. So don't do one and say, oh, it didn't work. I'm explaining this to you in detail because I know for me, that's something I used to struggle with. Well, I'm not creating my own world. I said it and I believe it and I'm manifesting it, I'm intending it, but it doesn't work out. These are the inner workings of why some things don't work out. You have to have completely embodied this energy, filled your vessel with that healing, with that knowing. So I hope this helped. I hoped it helped because, yes, it's about the quantum healing codes and activations and how to utilize them so that it actually affects a consistent change that sticks versus when it's like, oh, I got a little bit and then I'm back here. Oh, I got a little bit and then I'm back here. We want it to be effective, to stick, to be consistent. That requires a different way of being, a different way of thinking, and a different way of doing. This is the activation of that new program, planting the seed of light so that you can fill your vessel with all that light. And as you fill it with all that light, you're now condensing down that dark aspect, or the programs that tell you the exact opposite, which have been this big in your energy up till this point for some of you. So let me know in the comment if it resonates. Let me know if you've tried these and it's helped. Let me know if you've struggled with them. I sincerely feel like breaking this down of the minor steps and the things that go into it makes it much more logically understandable. what we mean by quantum healing codes. Yes, we're moving in the quantum field. Yes, it is immediate reaction, whether you know it or not. It doesn't actually matter. That program has just been activated in your DNA and in your thought forms. But you have to be accountable too and cultivate it, nurture it, tend to your garden. That's required too. I will leave that with you. I am sending you all much love, light, peace, healing, transcendence. And of course, if you wish to join me in a private reading, whether it's for soul blueprints, intuitive guidance, or a quantum spiritual clearing, you can find all of those links in the video description box below. Until next time, beautiful souls.